What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Lick. A rather sort of tardy episode. It's been a hot minute since I've done one of these, but I'm kind of glad to be back making some stuff. So, if you're new to this kind of video, the premise is I take a lick from an existing player, transcribe it, steal the essence like a Dementor in the night, and then use that essence to come up with two other ideas using the same sort of material. And then I'll break it all down and show you guys how it's done. And then hopefully you can go and do this thing with other licks from other people, thus going beyond the lick. So take a look at this week's lick. All right, it is of course That Guthrie lick from like 15 years ago that everyone was playing back in the day. I hadn't actually worked it out for myself, so it was kind of nice going back, looking at that. The video that changed everything, kind of, especially on the internet anyway, especially with YouTube and guitar playing and that. The whole thing is kind of in the key of C minor, and we've got an A flat major 7 going to a G7 with a flat 9. And then landing on a C minor of some description. So you've got I think the actual Larry Carlton backing track thing goes to an F minor after that, but we're just going to treat it almost like you would the turnaround in a minor blues. So you've got the A flat going to a G7, and then in a blues you probably and then go back round again. Basically what he's doing, it sounds like loads of stuff is going on, but really all he's doing is targeting interesting chord tones and adding little kind of chromatic enclosures that sort of dance around the notes that you want. So it starts right up here at the, 16th fret, and this is over the A flat major 7, and he's going to bend from here up to 18. So what he's actually doing, if I can get this grip, is he's bent, if I drop it down an octave, he's bending up to the 9th. So straight away, he's hitting those interesting chord tones. So he bends up there from the, what would be the root to the 9th, and then kind of goes down the scale. So you've got the root, you've got the major 7, you've got the 6, you've got the 5, and then you've got the sharp 11 here. So another interesting chord tone. So he's gone. And then he kind of adds this little chromatic note here. So he's basically surrounding that sharp 11. So he's picking out interesting notes in the chord tones that he wants and dancing around them. So like that, that's the first bit. And then he goes here, up to the 16th fret of the B. And this is the note that lands on the 1 of the G7, which is interesting because he's landing on what would be against the G7. Kind of the sharp 5. I guess if you're strictly speaking in the key, it'd be a flat 6 because you've already got a 5 here. But we'll see it as the sharp 5 for now. I'm thinking of that kind of sort of G altered thing. Major 7. Lands there, and then what he's going to do is going to aim for this. Going to aim for this root note over the G at the 15th fret of the E string, and he's going to enclose it like this. So you've got these notes dancing around so that he lands on this G on the beat. So in context, so you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So I'll do it up to there. Then we get this. Kind of sounds a little bit odd, almost almost a bit kind of harmonic minor-y. Again, he's going to be sort of surrounding this chord tone here. So if I put this B flat here on the B string, you get surrounding that chord tone. So I'll play up to there. Like that. So that da 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 da, the third's landing in a strong place again. And then after that, the last 4 notes to finish it. You get this. You can look at this a couple of ways, loosely hinting at some diminished scale stuff because you've got the 3, and then you've got this sharp 9, and then you've got a flat 9, and then you've got the, what would be the root of the G, the flat 7 of the G, and then back up to the root of the G, which lands on our chord tone, the C minor, it's the 5th. So that last bit. And this last bit is almost like a kind of diatonic enclosure. So he's going 2 notes down, aiming towards the note that he wants, but rhythmically, you've still got 1 left. So he goes the other side with the scale down to this F, and then lands on the G on the 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Put it all in the same string, it's a bit easier to see. So you can see that he's walking down. Here's the note that he needs. He's going back 1 and then landing on it. So you could even change that to this, which would be technically a major 7 over a G7, but that's not really how it's working. It's just a note that's 1 away from what you need and then landing on the beat. So up to there. That's the whole thing. I'll do it one more time. And that lands on our C minor 7. So taking those little enclosures and this thing of highlighting interesting chord tones into account, let's see what I'll come up with. All right, so a very kind of snaky, kind of windy sort of idea. Down in this position, so we're starting around these 2 chords. So for the A flat major 7, we're going to start on the 6th fret of the B, which is also the 6th of the chord. And we're going to bend that up on beat 2, 1, up to the major 7. So straight away we're going chord tone city. And then what we're going to do is enclose this sharp 11 here. So again, chord tone city. If I did it all on 1 string, you get that. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So that's the note we want. We're starting on the 6th or 13, and then we're going to land on this sharp 11. You might have heard that before. It's that thing. But to stay in position, we're going to stick this note here. So you get more time. So you get 1, 2. So we land on that sharp 11, and then we're going to aim for this 3rd here of the G7, 4th fret of the G, and we're going to do exactly the same thing. So we're just going to do the same idea and enclose it, but to stay in position, you get this. So you get 1, and that lands on the G7. So it sounds like a load of crazy chromaticism is going on, but really it's just a couple of little cells, if you like, that are aiming for specific chord tones. I'll do up to there. Like that. And then what we're going to do is do a similar thing to get to this root note here of the G. So from here, similar but not quite. So that's the 4th fret of the G. We're going to go 4 to 3, and then we're going to grab here, which would be the flat 9 of the G7, 6th fret of the D. And then, like I said before, with this G here, because it's a kind of weak point in the beat or the bar, we're going to play this F sharp at the 4th fret of the D. And again, it's like, it's not really working like that. It's like a little side slip in. It's like 1 E and A, and then the 1 is going to land. If you play this on beat 1, it's going to sound really bad. But if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, you can get away with it. Same thing as if somebody's doing this chord. You know, a lot of those notes, if you played them over the chord as it's going, you'd be like, they sound really wrong, but because we're putting them in a weak place, it shifts in. Like that. I'll do those 3 enclosures back to back. Like that. And then we're going up a G major arpeggio, but we're adding a flat 9 in. Like that. So that's 5 to 6 on the D, 4 on the G, and then 7 on the G. So. And then we're going to do another little mini enclosure, borderline kind of gypsy jazz thing on this 5th here of the G. You get this. So you're going 7. This is not what we want. We're going 7, 8, 6, 7. Like that. We're kind of using it to shift position as well because we're going to be going up here in a sec. Then we're going to slide from 8 to 9 on the D. Like that. And then this last resolution here, we're kind of enclosing this note again, which would be the root of the G7, which is also the 5th of the C minor 7 where we're going to resolve. Like that. So I'll do it all the way up to there. And then with this chromatic stuff, it's kind of up to you where you want to pick and where you don't want to pick and how much sort of legato you want to do. A good little sell is if there's 3 notes in a row, I kind of do down, up, pull off. That's quite a nice one. But once chromaticism starts getting involved, it kind of goes all over the place. Everyone's got a plan until they get punched in the face, or they add chromaticism. I think Plato said that. So from there, we have a little break, long note, and then we're going to slide down to the 3rd fret of the B, which will be the 9th of our C minor 7, or C minor 9. And we're going to bend up. Now, when I did this, I thought of this as almost like you would do a quarter tone bend on the flat 3. So a little kind of, little moany vibe, but from the 9th. So you've got a bit more room and a bit more time to get that, to get your moan on. So, like that. And then to finish, we've got this little C minor line here. So we're going to slide from the flat 5 into the 5. And again, 3, 4, comes on a weak beat into a strong beat. So you're sliding from the 7 to 8 on the B. Then we're going to grab 10 on the E, pull off to 6, so that'll be our 9th and our flat 7. And then you're going to grab that flat 5 again, but pull off from the flat 5 to the 4, and then to flat 3 to 1. Like that. Then we're going to hit this, which is actually a major 6th over a minor chord. So you might think, oh, right, we're doing Dorian now. Yes and no. I'm just thinking of it as a chord tone over the C minor 7, kind of doing the jazz thing of thinking chord for chord. So I'm there for a second, and it adds to a bit more of a kind of a bluesy sound. Like that. Rather than if I hit the flat 6, it's not quite got the same sound. And because everything that's happening underneath is just C minor 7, we can make that choice. So, and then to finish, you can either go and just finger like that, or to be a bit more kind of Guthrie-esque, I see him doing that almost Angus Young kind of aggressive vibrato. And then as late as you can manage, I slide down to the root. like that. Do the whole thing. Like that. So let's take a look at the last idea. All right, the last one, perhaps a little bit overkill. I went back and forward with the fingerings on this because when you are adding this amount of chromaticism, it does become quite a puzzle to avoid doing like loads of sort of position shifts and stuff like that. We're up in this position. So we're starting with, if you imagine a major 7 arpeggio, but instead of going to the 5th, we're adding the sharp 4 in. So again, chord, tone, city. We're going to go 10 to 11 on the A, which will be the 7 to the root. On the beat, 3, 4, like that. So we're starting on the major 7. And then we're going to grab the 3rd, which will be the 10th fret of the D, and then the sharp 11, which is the 12th fret of the D. And then what we're going to do, we're going to grab our major 7, which is also 12, but on the G, and we're going to walk down chromatically, which gets us from our major 7 to our 5th. If you're trying to get into this sort of borderline bebop, that's a good name for a genre actually, soft rock, borderline bebop. You're trying to get into this kind of borderline bebop vocabulary and you're trying to get into the whole chromaticism and trying to have things line up. A little cell like that where you're going, starting on a chord tone, which will be the major 7, and then going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, and landing on another chord tone. I think that kind of displays what you're aiming for quite nicely, because you've got the note that you want, all this other stuff in between, in a straight chromatic line, and then the other note that you want on the beat. So, like that. However, we're not going to finger it like that, we're going to go. Like that. Slightly different, slightly more difficult, but it's a balance between position shifts, so this is kind of the least left and right way of doing it. That'll be 10, 11, 10, 12, and then we're going to go straight underneath to 12 on the G. You're going to do 3 notes there, so 12, 11, 10. Then you're going to come over, 14 on the D, and land on 13 on the D, which will be our 5th. Then you're going to grab the 14 on the A to aim for that sharp 11 again. So you're going to go 14 on the A, 10, 11, 12 on the D. So if I do it and really accent the kind of downbeats, you'll hear what I mean. Flat on the major 7, major 7, 5th, and then landed on that sharp 11. And then slightly kind of sneaky out but not really out thing, we're going to go hit this little augmented triad here, which is 11 on the G, 12 on the D, 13 on the A. Now I know we're like, oh, where's that come from? Really, it's just kind of like, again, it's like a side slipping thing, but now we're doing it in a sort of chord form. So we're momentarily making this A flat major 7 kind of more into a A flat 7 sharp 11, which you'll often hear in a kind of minor blues turnaround, depending on who you're playing with. Some guys might just go like that, and then some other guys might go so they might do the kind of 7-7 thing, or you might even just hear this, where it's just, there's no extensions, it's just a dominant 7 to dominant 7. Happens quite a lot. I'll just play it to there just to remind us. So from here, you're going to go sharp 11, flat 7, back to sharp 11, and then to here, which would be the 9th, and it's going to slide up a semitone to be the third of our G7. So I'll just do this last beat. Like that. I'll just do it to there because it's a lot of chromaticism to keep tabs on. To keep tabs on! I honestly didn't mean to say that. All right. Like that. And you're actually going to land with your little finger on the 14th fret of the A. And now, we're just going to go up a G diminished scale with some chromaticism on the end. So you're going here, and then you're going to go 11 to 12 on the D, and that's going to be the 1 shift. Then you're going to go 14, 15 on the D, and then 12, 13 on the G. Now you can look at this a couple of ways. You can look at this as it's just the half whole diminished scale. Or you can look at it if we're getting into this kind of bebop metric kind of chord tones and non-chord tones thing. You can look at it as on, and then off for this note, and then on, which gets us to the 5th. So you got 3rd, and then the up or the off, if you like, would be here, and then you're going to land on the 5th, and then off, and then land on the flat 7, and then off, and then land on the flat 9. So you're getting the 3rd, the 5th, the flat 7, the flat 9. And then when we get up to this G, you're actually going to go chromatically. So it's up to you whether you want to slide that or play these 2 notes. Quite fun to slide. So I'll do up to there. Then what we're going to do is enclose this 3rd. So this is the 3rd of the G7. Another enclosure. So from here, we're going to go. So you get. Put it all on 1 string. So from that 15 on the G, you're going to go 14 to 13 on the B string. Hit 15 on the G again, which is the same as here. And then land on the 3rd on the beat. And then we're going to enclose the root up here. So, like that. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So there's a lot of kind of 4-note groups, or I guess 5, but the first of each 4 is a chord tone, and then you do 3 notes in between that, either it's an enclosure or a chromatic kind of direction, and then the last of those is going to be a chord tone again. So I'll just do what happens over the G7. So from here, like that, do all the way up to there. So once again, we've landed on that root note of the G, which is actually the 5th of our C minor 7. And then what we're going to do, we're going to go just down a C minor arpeggio. So you're going to go out, pick, down, and then up, up, up. Little mini sweep. 15 on the E is what I've landed on, which would be the 5th of our C minor. Then we're going to go down to the 11th fret of the E, which is a flat 3 of our C minor. 13 on the B, and then 12 on the G. So we get 5th, flat 3, root, 5th again. Like that. So. And then we slide down to the 9th. Like that. So I'm going down, up, 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 slide. And then the last bit is like I guess sort of a Guthrieism. It's something I saw him do quite a lot. We're going to do 3 bends in succession, but with 1 pick, which is quite hard with a clean tone, so bear with me. So we've gone. Then we're going to grab the 8th fret on the G, which will be the flat 3 of our C minor, bend that up a tone, and then you're going to slide and bend the 10th fret of the G up a tone, and then you're going to bend the 12th fret of the G up a tone and a half. Imagine that. One more time. Like that. Obviously with gain, it's a lot easier and sounds way better. So I'll do the whole thing. Careful out there. That's someone's going to lose a fingernail on that one. So there it is. That's the original lick, and then 2 ideas of my own design, taking the essence like Shang Tsung and then injecting it straight into the strings. That's what happened. Thanks for checking this out. Hopefully you're going to do more in the future. If there's any guys or any kind of specific albums or players that you want to check out and maybe do the same thing,
Steal their essence.
Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, all that YouTube stuff, and I'll see you in another one. Cheers.